Hello guys. So what we're going to do in this one is I'm going to try and make a low poly tree. So I'm going to select everything and delete it because I don't want anything here on this one. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in plane. I'm going to just size this up as I often do to about there. This is just going to act as our floor because when we're doing the roots I want the roots to neatly go into the ground. Next up, I'm going to go Shift A. I'm going to add a cylinder. Now this is quite a high poly cylinder for what we're wanting, so I'm going to press this little button on the bottom left. And I'm just going to reduce the number of vertices down by a lot, but I'm going to actually click here. I'm going to bring it right down, but I think I'm going to go for about I might go 6 to be honest, nice and low. Brilliant. Then I'm going to press 1 to go into the front view, which is just like this one. I'm just going to bring it up to that line. Then I'm going to select faces. I'm going to delete both this top face and this bottom face. So that is the beginning of our trunk. Then back to front view. Decide roughly how tall I want this tree. I'm thinking about there-ish, but I'm actually going to start slightly offsetting it so that it's not straight. We're going to have it slightly bend off like that. Around the front view. Twist this around a bit with R. And then I'm going to do another final cut and go about there. And next up I'm going to go Shift and D. And I'm going to press separate. And it should have a separate piece now. Perfect. And this bit's just going to rotate and put up like that. But I'm going to want it to also move off slightly because I don't want everything going in the same direction. I'm going to do the same again. This time I duplicated it differently. Just rotating it around at the moment just so I can get some different angles on it. Let's go for about here, sort of jutting in, which is what I want. That so that it's slightly different than the other one. Let's just cut stuff around. Brilliant. Next up, I'm going to again duplicate it with Shift D, right click, and so I'm going to bring it down because I want to make some roots and to get the roots to look like they come out of it and then fold down. I'm going to wireframe mode here. Just going to put that up to about there, and that'll be our basis. Bring these up. I actually feel like I need to bring that down. I think that's a bit high. Brilliant. And then I'm going to just duplicate that. Just around, but put it in at different amounts so that it's not all the same. Duplicate it again. Eventually I will press the right buttons. I'm just using Alt Select to select the whole piece, and then I'm just moving it around so that we can get a nice sort of a variance. Alright, I'm just going to highlight over this piece and press L just to select everything from that piece. I'm going to put it all the way around. So we've got lots of roots coming out of this tree. And then I'm going to do one more root. Doesn't matter which piece I duplicate, they're all about the same. This one is going to start, if I can get hold of it, And this one's going to start slightly higher than the others, because I want this one to be one that varies it slightly. I want this one to sort of, actually I'm going to go over this side, because I want this one to sort of wrap over one of the other ones. So we get a bit of a wrap going. Perfect. Next up, I'm going to go for a icosphere. And I'm not going to do much to that, but I'm going to size it up, then I'm going to press O. The advantage to O is now when I scale, you'll notice, or move stuff, you'll notice I have that little circle. And if I scroll out, it means that I'm pulling around multiple different parts at once. There are lots of advantages to this, but for the sake of this one, I'm using it just to control where I get these bits, which is going to be acting as leaves. And I go Shift D again, duplicate it. This is going to be the main part of the tree, because this is a bit that has all the other parts in. I probably want it wider than that so it doesn't look too weird. Brilliant. And then Shift D again. So I'm going to bring it down for this smaller bit of it here. So we've got multiple different parts of this tree. Next up, I'm going to just put some extra movement in this part of the tree. Make sure I don't accidentally clip anything out at the bottom, because I want that all to look slightly juttering and sticking out. An extra bit in this one, I think, so I can move this bit a bit over, because I just want it to look like it moves about a nice bit. I'm actually also going to move this piece up a bit, and I'm also going to push it in a lot. Move this bit out, and essentially I don't want it to look uniform because it's organic, so it should look very random. But I don't want any weird jutty bits. Ooh. Then we get our nice tree. And then if I probably actually I'm going to stick on Eevee on this one. I don't usually like to use Eevee too much, because cycles is my jam. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to even make some just low poly grass, I think, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Yeah, so really if we can get some variance in the width, so I can actually delete this area here. So it's not the same width all the way up. Get around here, make this nicer, a bit thicker, because that's a lot closer to that part. I'm going to do the same here, just scaling here. So okay, you should already know a lot of the stuff that I do here. And thin out here because some of it's moved off. Brilliant. And I've already made the leaves sort of, not the leaves, the thing, but because all these are all one side, I'm going to click up here, then proportional editing fallout, and then go connected only. That way, no matter how much I scroll up, it'll only affect the parts that are connected. So I should be able to just scale down here, just to bring these out a bit. I'm going to actually, don't want it that big, but I want that one to be nice and thick. And pull this over a bit so that it's twisting around this way, I think. So I want those to overlap. It doesn't matter that there's intersecting areas, because that's actually what we want for this. We're also going to triangulate it later, because that helps to, but I'm also going to slightly offset some of these so that they're not all even, because we don't want it to look perfectly round. We want it to have a lot of sort of weird movement and bits that look different than others, so that we have it looking nice and random. Turn off connected only. I do want that to stay underground. And I think you get the idea here, but it's just trying to keep it so that nothing is just perfectly square and uniform. We want everything to look like it's been grown organically from the ground. Next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to select a line, and I'm going to take this one here so that on front view you can't see it, but that's the point. I'm going to go edge, mark seam. The reason we do that is now if I select all and go unwrap, that'll unwrap it for us. If I didn't do that, so if I don't do it on this one, I just press U and press unwrap, we end up with this. We don't want that. Oh, an arrow here, so pull it. I need to pull this part down so that it just slots it in nicely. Brilliant. And I'm going to go edge, mark seam, select all, unwrap it, mark seam, unwrap it. This won't unwrap very well, so I'm actually not going to. Icospheres don't unwrap very well. With these, I'm actually going to go underneath. And I go that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, and that line. And that should then, if I mark that as a seam, select all of that, unwrap that, we should get lots of ones like this. Perfect. So now if I select all of these, although it will look messy when I do this, there shouldn't be any that just are all bundled up. Brilliant. So I'm actually next going to do is I'm going to assign materials, but I'm not going to put any materials in them. So I'm going to put here, I'm going to call this bark. Brilliant. And now I'm going to assign bark to this as well. Bark, and to this one. Bark, and to this one. Bark. Sorry. And then to this one, it's going to be leaves. To this one, leaves. And to this one, leaves. So if I were to just change the base color now for this to like a green and this to a brown, it's a bit reddish, but about that. I quickly rendered that out. Just in a rendered mode, you can see that we have got our tree. It's got its roots coming down, it juts off, and we've got all the different bits. So the leaves, we're now going to go into sort of shading and have a look at this leaf shader. So there's a couple of different ways you can do leaves. We've already got everything all triangulated. We could actually subdivide that if we wanted to, but if we do, we might end up with it looking a bit smooth. So we'll get a little subdivision on it and have a look to see what it looks like. Yeah, see, way too smooth. We don't like that. We want it, for the sake of this, we want it to look a bit bumpy. But we probably, I'm not going to use a image texture for this one, so anyone that is doesn't like when I use image textures, I think I'm going to use a noise texture. Just plug that in because I need to be able to see what it looks like. And then if I were to put a ramp in here to just make it black and white, you should have a nice variance of different colors there. Which means if I now were to change that black to, say, a dark green, and this white to a lighter green, we end up with something with a sort of a multiple different colours in there, and I can go like that, and we then have a little bit of extra stuff in. I think that dark green might be a bit too dark, but go up to like there, just so there's some variance in colour. We don't want really too much variance because we want to stick with the sort of low poly style. And then we're going to swap over to the bark. We're going to do a similar thing, but for this we're going to use a slightly different texture. Let's have a look at a wave texture, I think. Connect that up. See what that looks like. See, that is sort of what we want. I think I need to bring in a vector mapping. Connect that, which should make it just go one color, which is fine. But and we'll go input texture coordinate and go UV, and we put that into the vector up here. Brilliant. Now I can rotate it as much as I like. So I want it to sort of run up the tree. So I'm going to rotate it so it goes like up the tree like that. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the UV editor, go back into this one. I'm just going to rotate these things so that it perfectly lines up, so that the lines are going up the tree. That was already working. You can sort of see what I'm doing here. I'm just rotating everything so everything's facing the way it needs to be facing for it to go up the tree rather than down it. Brilliant. It's a little, not so much fiddly, but I think that one's already working. Yeah, it is. So this one isn't. I think that is all of them. No, it's not. Cool. Back to shading. And I'm actually going to now size this up. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can just scale it here. Brilliant. So as you can see, it's now going up the tree. I'm going to put some distortion in. And you can see how this is going already. A little bit of detail. We'll talk about that. Detail scale, we don't want it too big. But if I were to now go with a ramp, and change this, actually I'm going to duplicate that, because I think I'm going to want more than one of those. But if I change this brown to a sort of, this bit to sort of a dark brown, and this one to a bit of a lighter brown, it's still a brown. You can sort of see where I'm going with this. And then I want the dark areas to sort of be a little bit rougher. But we don't want the white areas to be completely perfect, so I'm actually going to, for this part, I'm going to make it a little bit darker here. So that makes it a bit orange, but we'll fix that. And I'm going to need another color ramp. Put that in. I'm going to go for a vector bump node. Bring the alpha into the height. And that into the normal. Should bump in when it's done. And Doesn't really look like it's bumped very much, so I might need a math node in. Oh, there we go. That's way too strong, as you can kind of see. So maybe if we scale it up, no. It's just a bit strong, I think. So we can actually bring that strength down into like there. Alright, yeah, I think that looks okay. But then if we go over here, there should be a one for triangulate. And now if we go into here, because what we want to see is all these sort of triangles. Let's have a look through and have a look just to see what we can get here. Because we want it to look a little bit messy, and do the same here. Just triangulate the mesh. And here, triangulate it. Here, triangulate it. Perfect. And then if we were to add a sun lamp in, we'll find a nice view position for it. We actually probably more around this way, because I want to be able to see it from the front. Let's have a look what we have. We have our low poly tree. I can rotate that around as much. I probably don't want it that angled up. But then we can just rotate it around as much as we want to decide where we want this shadow. I think I'm going to size up this bottom plate as well so that we have the whole shadow on there. I mean, it looks good. Next up, or should we save that for a second video? I feel we've got a 20-minute one here, but that's what we'll do. I think we'll add grass in the next one. But we've got our little tree here, and what I'll do is I'm going to add in a camera. And we'll put there. I'm actually going to make the camera square, I think, just so that it's 1920. And I just put it for a little. I'm going to get a slightly side-on view so we've got a bit of a shadow. But I like to be able to see the different parts, so we'll go about there. See, I could add a HDRI on, but if I do that, we're probably going to get I'm going to want to come down, I think. Let's go to about let's change some of the focal length so we're a bit further away like that. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go and add a environment texture. It's going to go very bright again. Though that's in itself got a bit of an aesthetic to it, but I'm going to use a very simple HDRI for this one. So you can use a much nicer one if you want, but I'm going to use a very, very boring one. I don't know if you actually see my files when I go through this. Yeah, you do. Ignore anything that seems odd. Okay, I'm going to put it back into horizontal list where I'm used to looking through stuff. HDRI, let's go for a sunset. I will need to adjust some of the stuff here as well, but then I'm going to go for a vector mapping because I need to match my light to it as well. And then input texture coordinate generated into the vector. Because as you can see currently it's slightly too tall, so I'm going to move it down, other way. I don't need it to be that much, so I'm going to go about, which way do I want to go? 0.1, so if I divide that by 2, and again, And again, see, there we go. So I want to go for about 6, no, about 3. I can probably make that work if I were to just slow this camera down a bit and go to about there. There we go. But obviously my light here doesn't really match it. Actually, I think that'd be alright for the style that we've gone for. But I'm now looking at it and I feel like the wood here looks very dark. So I'm actually going to change the colour of the wood. Bring it up a lot. Let's go like there, and I'm going to have our low poly tree. Alright, I'll stop the image there and I'll show you the result at the end of the next video. Thank you for watching.